You know that person, right? The one who, when they get hurt, just shuts down. They say, "I'm fine," but you can feel that silence, and it is loud. Well, it turns out they're not being cold. They're not broken. Today, we're going to dive into the real psychology behind this behavior, and what science has to say about it. Well, it's going to change how you see that silence forever.
And hey, if you're watching this and a little voice in your head just went, "Oh, that's me," then welcome. You are about to feel so seen. Because that silence, it's not a flaw, it's not you being immature. It's actually one of the most complex, protective responses your entire nervous system can pull off.
Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it, because this is where the wires get crossed. From the outside, people see someone who's gone cold, maybe withdrawn. They might even feel like you're punishing them with silence. But inside, it's a totally different story. You're not shutting them out. You're holding yourself in because you are completely overwhelmed and you are desperately trying to process it all. So why does this even happen? The first thing we've got to understand is that most of the time, this isn't a conscious choice. Nope, it goes way deeper than that, right down into your biology.
This is absolutely crucial. People think you decided to go quiet like it's some kind of power move, but it's not. The moment you get really hurt, something in your body literally shifts. You can feel it, right? Your chest gets heavy, your throat tightens, and words, they feel genuinely impossible to find. That's not you being difficult. That's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do.
And this reaction actually has a name. It's called the freeze response. You've heard of fight or flight? Well, this is its overlooked sibling. Researchers like Dr. Peter Levine have shown that this is just as hardwired, just as instinctual. It's not weakness. It's your brain slamming on the emergency brake, because the emotional input is just too massive to handle. It's pure biological self-protection.
And the science here is just fascinating. When you're in that state of emotional flooding, the parts of your brain responsible for language production, they actually go quieter. So when someone is standing there demanding, "Just talk to me," and you can't, it's not you being stubborn. Your brain has physically made words harder to get to. It is bigger fish to fry, namely, just keeping you from falling apart.
But here's the thing. This response isn't something you were just born with. It's a skill that you learned over time as a way to survive. Let's dig into how that happens.
Just think about it for a second. Babies scream. Toddlers throw themselves on the floor. Little kids express their pain loudly, openly, without a second thought, right up until something in their world teaches them that it's not safe to do that. At some point, you learned that lesson. This timeline here just lays it out so clearly. As a kid, maybe when you got upset, you were told you were being too sensitive. Or maybe you took a risk, you opened up to someone, and they used that vulnerability against you. Psychologists like John Bowlby talked all about this, how our nervous system learns from our very first relationships. And if it learns that being vulnerable just leads to more pain, it files that lesson away, and silence becomes your shield for life.
So I want you to just pause and really hear this. Your silence, it is not a character flaw, not even close. It's a survival skill, a really sophisticated one that your younger self built brick by brick just to protect you. And you know what? It worked. It got you here.
Okay, so let's shift gears. While everyone else just sees stillness on the outside, your inner world is anything but quiet. In fact, it's incredibly busy.
You know that saying, "Still water runs deep"? Well, it's the perfect way to describe this. On the surface, you look quiet, inactive, but underneath, there are these powerful deep currents. Research actually shows that during these quiet moments, the parts of your brain tied to self-reflection and memory are firing on all cylinders. Your quiet is actually one of the most mentally active states you can be in.
So what's all that mental activity about? Well, you're running through questions just like these. You're not avoiding the problem. You're stress testing every single angle of it. You're trying to figure out what you feel, what's true, before you even dare to say a single word. Because for you, speaking without that clarity, that feels like a huge risk.
But there's another layer here that most people completely miss. And honestly, it's kind of selfless. A lot of the time, your silence isn't just about protecting you. It's about protecting the relationship. You know what lives inside you when that pain is fresh and raw. You know that if you open your mouth too soon, what comes out isn't going to be a calm, productive conversation. It'll be a raw nerve. It will be words that you can never ever take back. So you wait, not to punish anyone, but because you actually care enough about the relationship to not burn it to the ground in a moment of unfiltered agony.
You know, there's a great concept in psychology for this. It's called the window of tolerance. It's that sweet spot where you can actually have a real conversation, where you can listen and be heard. When you're flooded with emotion, you're way outside that window. Nothing good can happen there. Your silence is you instinctively waiting to get back inside that window where real connection is possible.
And that's the key distinction, right? It's not avoidance, it's responsible preparation. As uncomfortable as that silence might be for the other person, it's often the most protective, most loving thing you know how to do for the health of your relationships.
Okay, so let's put all these pieces together. Let's reframe this entire behavior not as a weakness, not as a flaw, but as a profound and seriously misunderstood strength.
And here is the painful irony of it all. The one thing that actually helps you open up is the complete opposite of what you usually get. People push, they get anxious, they demand words, and all that pressure does is confirm your deepest fear, that your way of being isn't okay. What you actually need, what your nervous system craves, is someone who can just sit with you in the quiet and trust that you will come back.
And when you're given that safe space, this is the beautiful process that gets to unfold. You feel everything. You take your time to really understand it. You check your words to make sure they're true and fair. So when you finally do speak, it's not some messy, impulsive reaction. It's a carefully considered conclusion. And man, that is incredibly rare and valuable.
So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. People mistake your silence for emotional unavailability. But that's not what's happening at all. What it really is emotional integrity. Think about that. It's a deep, profound commitment to understanding and speaking your truth, and only your truth. In a world that seems to reward whoever reacts the fastest and shouts the loudest, this is your quiet superpower. You don't just throw words around, and the people who are patient enough to wait for you, they know this. They know that when you finally speak, it really, really matters.
So I'm gonna leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if that stillness we see isn't a sign of absence, but a sign of someone being fully, completely present with their feelings before they share them with the world? What if it's the deepest kind of presence there is? Something to think about.